Between 700 and 800 of Tyagaraja's compositions have come down to us, and they have come down through what is called the Shishya Paramparas. Shishya means student, Parampara here means lineage. So Tyagaraja had his students who learnt his compositions. They in turn had students who in turn had students, and thus through an oral tradition his compositions have come down to us. There have been attempts at also at preserving his compositions in the written mode as well, but the primary way that the compositions have come down to us is the oral transmission, is through oral transmission. Even today, any musician worth his or her salt traces back his or her lineage to Tyagaraja or sometimes Dikshidhar. Now, Tyagaraja sang on many themes. There are many moods that you can find in Tyagaraja's compositions, and in this session I will try to take a few of these themes, and we will look at some of his compositions, and this will hopefully urge you to take a look at many of his other compositions that are available very easily really on the internet. Tyagaraja talks to Rama. He beseeches him. He even sometimes rebukes him gently. He sings in joy, he sings in despondency. He speaks of music, he sings of music itself, the power of music. And then he speaks of bhakti, devotion, what is the true nature of bhakti. And he sings of charlatans, those who run a charade of devotion or of musicianship. So there are many varied voices that we find in Tyagaraja, and in this session I just have a small selection of songs with these varied themes. So first of all, who was Tyagaraja's Rama? Because it was the Rama of Ramayana, as envisioned, as we find Rama's story as told by Valmiki in the Ramayana. And in many of his songs there are references to various episodes from the Ramayana. But suddenly there are many beautiful metaphors that you find sprinkled here and there. For instance, he calls Rama Sat Chitta Shayi. It is he who reclines in a good person's heart. Another very famous song, he starts by addressing Rama as Sujana Jivana. Sujana Jivana, Sujana Jivana, Sujana Jivana, Rama Suguna Bhushana, Rama 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 Sujana Bhujaka Bhushana, Chita Buddha Janavana, Bhujaka Bhushana, Chita Buddha Janavana, Sujana Jivana. He says, you are the life of Sujana, of a Sujana. Sujana meaning a good person. Anyone who is a good person, of that person you are the life. And we come across many such epithets in his compositions. Very common theme in his compositions are simply singing the glory of Rama, singing of his beauty, singing of his deeds, of some episodes from the Ramayana, always with a personal angle to it. There is this composition in Madhyamavati, in Raga Madhyamavati. In this composition, Tyagaraja speaks of some of Rama's feats, like for instance, meeting King Janaka's challenge by lifting the bow of Lord Shiva, and other such episodes. And what Tyagaraja says is that the hair locks of Rama, as they were playing on his face, the sheer beauty of that sight, Tyagaraja says, Vishwamitra, sage Vishwamitra, who was with Rama during all these episodes, Tyagaraja says how he must have relished the sight of those locks caressing Lord Rama's face as he performed these feats. This kind of poetic take on describing Rama are very frequently found in his kritis. And in many kritis, he speaks to Rama. He asks him why he will not show compassion, why he will not show grace, why he will not grant him what he seeks. In this composition in a raga, Jayantishri, he says, Marugenara, O Raghava, why is there the screen between you and me? Why am I not one with you? Why is there the screen? Marugelara Charachara Rupa Paratpara Surya Sudhakara Lochana. Anni Neva Nuchu Antarangamula Tinnaga Vetagi Telusu Kunti Naya Ninnigani Madine Ninajala Nurula Nannu Brovavaya Tyagaraja Nuta. So here he is beseeching Rama to lift this veil that separates the devotee and the god. Ni many compositions that simply describe the joy of worshipping Rama, the joy of doing puja, the actual process of doing puja. Tyagaraja has many compositions which describe this. Since, for instance, he says a composition that you've heard before in this course, Tulasi Bilva Mallikadi Jalaja Sumamula Pujala Kaikunave. That is, this my puja to you, I am offering these flowers, Tulasi, Bilva, Mallika, the lotus. Please accept these offerings of mine.
Tulasi Bilva Mallika Tulasi Bilva Mallika Tulasi Bilva Mallika Jalaja Sumamula Pujala Gaikonave.
And one of Tyagaraja's very favorite themes is the theme of bhakti, devotion. In many compositions, he actually asks that he be given bhakti. Bhakti is also something that is the Lord's grace. So if you have bhakti, that is a gift. And Tyagaraja asks for that gift. He says, Bhakti bhikshamiyave, sattvika bhakti bhikshamiyave, something that you give. He's begging for. Bhiksha is something you beg for. So he's saying, I'm begging you to give me bhakti, and not any bhakti, sattvika bhakti. Bhakti bhikshamiyave, Bhakti bhikshamiyave, Bhakti bhikshamiyave, Bhavukamagu Satvika Bhakti bhikshamiyave, Bhavukamagu Satvika Bhakti bhikshamiyave, Bhakti bhikshamiyave, Bhavukamagu Satvika Bhakti bhikshamiyave, Bhavukamagu Satvika Bhakti अखिल शक्ति की मुक्ति का अखिल शक्ति की मुक्ति का अखिल शक्ति की त्रिभुवन गति में मेरा भक्ति भिक्षमीयवे बाबू कर्म Another very well-known composition of his, he says, Teleleru Rama Bhakti Margamu. We don't know the path of devotion. We roam around here and there without being aware of the path of devotion. People go through the motions. They have their ritual bath, they wear religious symbols. But where is bhakti in all this? తెలియలేరు రామ భక్తి మార్గము.
వెగలేచి నీట మునిగి పూజి పూసి వెగలేచి నీట మునిగి పూజి పూసి వెలలంజెరగిదే శ్లాఘనీయులై వెగలేచి నీట మునిగి పూజి పూసి వెలలంజెరగిదే శ్లాఘనీయులై పాగపైగమా జనలోలులై పాగపైగమా జనలోలులై పాగపైగమా జనలోలులై రేగాని త్యాగరాజ వినుత తెలియలే పాగపైగమా జనలోలులై రేగాని త్యాగరాజ వినుత తెలియలేరు రామ భక్తి మార్గమును తెలియలేరు రామ భక్తి మార్గమును తెలియలేరు రామ భక్తి మార్గమును తెలియలేరు రామ భక్తి మార్గమును తెలియలేరు రామ భక్తి మార్గము
And in this gem of a composition, he says, he talks of the sheer bliss of bhakti, Rama Bhakti. He says Rama Bhakti Samrajyam, this empire, the Samrajya of Rama Bhakti, is something that if you attain it, there is no bliss equal to it. And it is something that you cannot describe. It is something that is for you to experience. He says, Ilagani vivarimpalenu chala swanubhava vedyami. It's not possible to describe it this way or that way. It is a matter of swanubhava.
ఇలాగని వివరింపలేను చల స్వానుభవ వేద్యమి ఇలాగని వివరింపలేను చల స్వానుభవ వేద్యమి ఇలా సృష్టి జగత్రయమనే లీలా సృష్టి జగత్రయమనే కోల కల జగరాజను భక్తి సమజ ఏ మానవుల కమయను మనసయ భక్తి సామ్రాజ్యం
He asks Rama for bhakti. He asks Rama for wisdom, for buddhi, for wisdom. He asks Rama for wisdom. He says, why won't you give me the wisdom that the great men have had? ఎందుకు పెద్దల వలె బుద్ధి ఇయ్యవు ఎందు పోదునయ్య రామయ్య వేదశాస్త్ర తత్వార్థములు తెలిసి భేదరహిత వేదాంతములు తెలిసి నాద విద్యా మర్మంబులను తెలిసి నాథ త్యాగరాజనుత నిజముగ ఎందుకు పెద్దల వలె బుద్ధి ఇయ్యవు. Why won't you give me the wisdom that great men have had?
వేద శాస్త్ర
remarkable set of compositions that Tyagaraja has left behind are on music itself. The power of music, the power of notes. In many of his compositions he uses the word nada. Nada yoga, nada vidya, nadopasana. The worship of nada, musical sound. Nada yoga, nadopasana is a means of liberation through music, through sound. And he, in many of his beautiful compositions, talk about this. He says, Nada loludai brahmanandame. He says, Nada loludai brahmanandame. Is reveling or taking pleasure in nada. That is equal to brahmananda, which is spiritually the ultimate state. He has handled not just major ragas but minor ragas, like what I just sang in Shuddha Bangala. Shuddha Bangala is a minor raga. Nama Bhakti Samrajamut is a minor raga. Again, this Nada Lolude Brahmanandame is in a raga called Kalyana Vasantam, again a minor raga. Nada Lolude Brahmanandamandave Manasa Nada Lolude Brahmanandamandave Manasa Nada Lolude Brahmanandamandave One of the most significant compositions, he says, this is in Shankarabharanam, and again it's on music, on raga and swara and nada. He says, Swara raga sudha rasayuta bhakti swargapavargamura o manasa. He is telling himself, his own mind, he is saying, Swara raga sudha rasayuta bhakti, devotion that is charged with the rasa or the essence or the enjoyment of swara and raga, that nectar. So devotion combined with this music, that itself is swarga, that itself is heaven, and that itself is apavarga, that itself is liberation. And this is, as I said, a very significant composition. The Anupallavi says this, Paramanandame kamalamupai bakabekamu chelagemi. Now this can be interpreted in many ways, but the meaning, literal meaning is, as you can see, that there is the lotus which can give you the ultimate bliss. But what can a crane or a frog have to do with the lotus? The lotus here refers to what music can actually give. And what people do with music is what the crane or the frog do with the lotus. It is only a bee that knows the nectar that a lotus can offer. So here he is really pointing, indicating at the actual words of music, what it can give you and what people are actually deriving from it. In the first charanam he says, Mooladhara nada merugute mudamagu mokshamura Kolahala saptaswara grahamula gurute mokshamura. The science of Nada Yoga, the discipline, the practice of Nadopasana is esoteric, no doubt, but it involves going inwards to seek the source of sound, to seek the source of musical sound, and the belief is, as borne out in experience, that there are certain parts of the body that are activated to produce certain swaras. though it does seem esoteric, there are living masters who testify to this, to its truth. And musical practice of music, when it is inward, that can result, that can yield undreamt of happiness. And we may say that what Carnatic music as it's professionally practiced is not the kind of music that Tyagaraja is talking about.